Perfect. All right. Well, good evening, everybody. We're very glad to have you here tonight for our third and final program as part of our dance series in conjunction with the Visual and Performing Arts Division of Broward College. Tonight, we are thrilled to have Professor Lucila Godoy Di Renzo, who is going to speak with us about the evolution of ballet. Lucy is in charge of the ballet program, like the dance program at the School of Visual and Performing Arts. And I know we're going to learn a lot tonight, and it is my pleasure now to turn it over to Lucy.
Good evening, everyone. Can you all hear me well? I'm thinking you're all muted, so I'm gonna guess that you can all hear me. Thank you for joining this exploration of ballet transformation from its renaissance to origins to the modern form as we know it now. My name is Lucila Godoy, and I will talk about myself a little bit, but I've dedicated much of my life to ballet as a performer, educator, and choreographer. Ballet for me is not just like merely a performance. It's a narrative, like a vehicle that bridges cultural and historical landscapes together. I wanted to take you through the evolution. As much as ballet seems to have stayed in time, it has developed so much from its courtly inception to the hybrid form that we know now. I wanted to tell you a little bit about myself so you know who you're speaking to. I was born in Venezuela to Argentinian parents. I was raised between the two countries. At the age of 21, I got a contract to dance professionally here in Miami. And after that, I moved to New York, danced a little bit there, and I moved to Europe, danced in Spain for a contemporary ballet company. And then I went back to Venezuela to dance for the national company inside the Teresa Carreño Theater, which is one of the most beautiful theaters in Latin America. If we're ready, we're going to go ahead. Well, after that, I didn't finish the story. After that, I moved back to Miami, and then I did my master's degree in my Master's of Fine Arts in Dance in Virginia, in Roanoke, Hollins University. I don't know if any of you is familiar with that. And then I've been teaching since the age of 16. I started teaching in a very small studio. And even though I was dancing professionally, I kept on teaching because I love teaching children, adults, all ages. I have a small studio in Weston where we teach different kinds of dances, including ballet. And also I teach at Broward College. So we're going to start. I'm going to remove this because I can't see very well. Okay. So, second, there we go. So the courtly origins of ballet. Ballet was born and recognized its beginning in the courts of Italy and France, right? Its genesis was tied closely to courtly politics and diplomacy, underscoring the cultural and social more of the elite, right? Catherine de' Medici, which was an Italian-born queen in France, she popularized ballet within the French court in the 16th century. She was like the main sponsor of performances that were not merely diversions, but symbols of courtly sophistication and power, right? It was a way to show off. It was the social media of the time, right? That's how I talk to my younger students about the origins of ballet. The term ballet comes from the Italian ballare, which means dance. And these early court ballets were structured as performative spectacles that blended music, dance, and poetry. Around 1581, Le Ballet Comique de la Reine, it was commissioned by Catherine. This ballet stands as an early example of the capacity and of aesthetic expression, right? Always with a political narrative. It was the first major ballet in which choreography, design, music collaborated to communicate a cohesive narrative, foreshadowing the elaborate storytelling ballets of later centuries as we know now, right? Like Swan Lake and all these things that are more storytelling than before. Ballet in the court, it was more of a weapon, I would say, political weapon, right? Ballet's evolution as a performance art owes much to, this is the Ballet de la Reine that I told you about. This is what, this is a picture of what it looked like. And here we are, because most of what we know of ballet in this time, we own it to Louis XIV, the King Soleil, right? The king, the Sun King, an enthusiastic dancer himself. He started dancing when he was very young. And Louis established ballet as a formalized noble art. In 1661, he founded the Académie Royale de Danse, which is what we know today as the Paris Opera, the School of the Paris Opera in Paris. The first institution dedicated to ballet, which set foundational standards for dance technique and training. His emphasis on discipline, posture, refinement directly influenced ballet structure, codifying positions and steps essentially today that we know today. Like first position, second position, the arms, those basic things that we know from ballet. I'm gonna show you this clip, and if you could, well, I think you're recorded, but I would recommend that you guys watch the first 30 minutes of this video. I'm just gonna show you 3 minutes, but try to watch it later. It's a great documentary about Louis XIV and ballet from the BBC London. I'm just gonna show you the beginning.
Famous for his mistresses. He had a couple of wives. For his shoes.
He loved fashion.
And for building the Palace of Versailles.
He was the King of France.
And for being Europe's longest serving monarch. He was genius. He was a rock and roll star. And from his iconic appearance as the rising sun in Le Ballet de la Nuit, or the Ballet of the Night of 1653, Louis XIV would become synonymous with the art of ballet. He was the king who danced, defining and popularizing an art form that was the very essence of nobility, uniting politics and dance like never before, and placing ballet firmly at the heart of civilized culture. Louis was the flame that would ignite a revolution in dance, that would give birth to the ballet that we know today. I've always been fascinated by Louis XIV of France since I first read about him as a young boy starting to learn ballet myself. Even at that young age, I was aware of the prejudice against boys learning to dance, and it seemed to me extraordinary that here was a king of roughly my own age who danced, who did ballet like me. And even 300 years after his death, Louis still remains for me ballet's first great icon. Under his reign, classical ballet took its first steps towards becoming an art form in its own right, not just in France, but across the whole of Europe. Now, I want to truly uncover Louis' contribution as I make him the subject of a brand new dance piece for the Birmingham Royal Ballet. The King Dances is inspired by the Ballet de la Nuit, a landmark performance that reputedly lasted all night and featured at its climax a 14-year-old Louis dancing the role of the rising sun. Louis XIV was born on the 5th of September, 1638. His parents, Louis XIII and Anne of Austria, had taken 22 years to produce an heir, and Louis's birth was hailed as a miracle. He was Dieu donné, literally God-given. In 1643, Louis's father, who had also been a king dancer, died, making Louis the King of France at the tender age of 4. In the France that Louis inherited, dance was a crucial part of the social hierarchy. A gentleman needed to have 3 skills: horse riding, fencing, and dancing. And as the future king, Louis would have been expected to learn to dance almost as soon as he could walk. Ballet dancers today train for years to become the living embodiment of an ideal of noble behavior that harks back to an era when everything was done with effortless refinement and regal grace. Only now.
Okay. I recommend that you watch the first 30 minutes. You can watch the whole documentary, but the history behind everything that he did, Louis XIV, I'm gonna admit, did for ballet.
This only takes
I'm
place
sorry.
within the confines of a dance studio.
Let's go out. Okay. Hold on. Okay. If you can watch that video, it's in YouTube. You can see it there. So we're gonna move on a little bit to the classical 18th, 19th century ballet influenced by Petipa. So the progression to what we call classical ballet emerged in the 18th and 19th century, especially as ballet transitioned from court entertainment to theater. Keep in mind that it was the moment to take ballet to everyone, not only to court and not only to those who could do horse riding, fencing, and dancing, right? So it was the time to open and make ballet accessible for everyone. This era saw the formalization of ballet's vocabulary, as we know today, with emphasis on technique and distinct aesthetics, right? The Russian Imperial Ballet, especially under the guidance of Marius Petipa, created works such as Swan Lake and Sleeping Beauty that established the narrative and technical framework that we now associate with classical ballet. Petipa, together with composers like Tchaikovsky, constructed complex multi-act ballets centered on virtuosic displays of story-driven compositions. This era also solidified the structure of the grand pas de deux that we know at the end and that we wait when we go see a show at the end for that finale, with its intricate interplay between lead dancers, which has become a hallmark of classical ballet. I'm gonna put a little piece. I'm going to leave the video for the visual, but I'm gonna keep on talking. I hope you can hear me. Let's see if I can see you. Oh, sorry. Oh, I wanted to see if you can hear me. Okay. I wanted to leave. Hold on. Over here. So the jump, the 200 gap between the court and what we're watching right now was I jumped ahead a lot, but at the same time, the transition was very special. The visual of it, not only as technique wise, right? The big dresses that use in court with the big chubby shoes, and the movement was not very technical but very gracious. The transition to this is epic, right? The dresses get short, you can now see the legs, ballerinas dancing on their toes instead of the shoes, and less courtish and definitely more technique, and I would even say acrobatic. Lately ballet has been like very acrobatic, but the jump, it's a big jump from the court to what Petit Pas accomplished. Oh, hold on, I can see the chat. Let me see if I can see it. Reading down. Yes, this is very interesting. So scores, let me close this. So ballet scores, they exist, they do exist, but ballet is transferred through people. It's so there are scores, and it's you can, well, you can't read it because I can't read it either. It's basically like reading music. It's a score with dots and shapes. I mean, I could try to read it, but we learn all these ballets by heart. I could dance all of these right now and we pass it on to the next generation, and that's how it's been forever. Yeah, when you dance in a company, you won't ever see anybody sitting reading a score. If anything, and if somebody forgets something, which it could happen, we'll just go to the video because we have that now. But it definitely traveled through time from person to person. I hope I answer that question. Let me see if there's another one. Okay. I'm going to move along to one of my favorite era of ballet, which is the modernist. The Ballet Russe and Sergei Diaghilev. So the progression, the progression to modernist period marked a radical shift as ballet intersected with avant-garde aesthetics, right? We're talking about Picasso and this era of highly hyped artists. Sorry, my dog. So with the Ballet Russe and Diaghilev, it was particularly instrumental in expanding ballet's boundaries And what we know of today as a ballet troupe touring, it's all thanks to these men. He integrated modernist themes and abstraction and collaborations with composers like Stravinsky, let's say Firebird, and choreographers like Michel Fokine and Václav Nijinsky moved ballet beyond its classical constraints. The modernist shift also emphasized ballet capacity to abstractly communicate psychological and emotional depths. This period included works like Nijinsky, The Rite of Spring. I'm gonna play it, but keep talking. So you can have a visual. Nijinsky and The Rite of Spring, which polarized audiences with its intense angular movements and primal themes. Balanchine's later work in the US, which I will talk about Balanchine a little later, especially his neoclassical style, reduced the emphasis of narrative, focusing instead of movement and music, pure potential. Balanchine let go of the narrative in some aspects and concentrated in minimalistic ideals, right? This is the Ballet Russe. I wanted to show you. So on a personal note, my ballet teacher, one of my ballet teachers, she danced with the Ballet Russe. She was from Poland. Her name was Nina Novak, and she's one of the most important ballet dancer creator in Venezuela, because she got many of us to got professional careers. And she danced with the Ballet Russe. I'm going to stop here 1 second, because I want to talk to you about Balanchine and his neoclassical form of ballet as we know now, and it's so dated, right? It's so important in American ballet and world ballet, and one of my favorites. Balanchine was born in Russia and trained at the Imperial Ballet School that we talked before. He brought his classical training to a new context in America, where he redefined ballet for the 20th century. In 1934, with the founding of the School of American Ballet, and later with New York City Ballet, Balanchine reshaped the landscape of ballet. He pioneered a neoclassical style, minimalist, musically driven, focus on movement rather than narrative. This ballet right here in the picture is Apollo. And if you see the scenography, I'm sure some of you have watched, maybe you've been to Miami City Ballet. And if you haven't, I recommend you do. Whenever they do mostly Balanchine, they have some guest choreographers, but whenever you see Serenade or Apollo or one of these, you should definitely see it. He eliminated the complex plots, right? Swan Lake and things like classical works. And instead, he embraced the abstract, the non-narrative form that allowed the audience to experience the beauty of ballet without the storytelling. So the beauty of the technique, the beauty of the lines, the arms, the heads, the foot, the energy. He frequently said, see the music, hear the dance, emphasizing his beliefs that ballet should visualize the music. This approach made his choreography unique, and he often worked with live composers such as Stravinsky, whose music inspired much of his work. So some of his signature works, and take notes so if you see it. So Apollo, one of his masterpieces, Serenade, which was created in 1934. And you can see some parts of, I have here a little bit, let's see, let's play this with music. Let's see if I can make this bigger. No, okay, no. Hold on. What happened? Sorry. There we go. I'm sorry. Share. Am I not sharing? Hold on. I'm sharing, right? Nope. All right, hold on, let me open it again. Do you see my screen?
We do see your screen.
Okay,
We do
I
see
don't
your
know
screen.
what happened with my PowerPoint. Let me go back. Should be here. Hold on. Let me go back and get my PowerPoint. Okay. Okay. Let me go back to the page. Okay. I'll share again. Okay, can you see it?
Yes, we can see.
Okay. So the difference between the big classical ballets and these is there's zero scenography here. So it's just the dancers and technique. Not detailed costumes or anything, just a leotard and a skirt and just the dancer. And Balanchine loved to accentuate the female dancer. So it was all about the female. fast and very technical movements. Okay. Not so Balanchine's neoclassical approach transformed ballet by fostering a new American ballet aesthetic, and which is recognized worldwide, right? You see the difference when you see an American ballerina and a European ballerina, and you catch it right away. The movement is faster. It's technically difficult, way more than a classical ballet dancer that's not trained balancing. So it's very interesting, the agility, the musicality, the innovation. Today, his style and repertoire are central to the identity of New York City Ballet and have influenced companies worldwide. Balanchine's work continue to be celebrated for their technical demands and musical sophistication, attracting audiences to the artistry and athleticism of ballet. I love Balanchine, and when you see my choreography, you will always catch those steps, and you'll be like, oh, there's Balanchine. And I will tell you about our choreographers and our shows, which I'm sure you already know, but we'll talk about that at the end. So we'll jump to contemporary innovations in ballet, and right here we have Akram Khan, Crystal Pite, William Forsythe, and Twyla Tharp in the pictures in order. In the later half of the 20th century, ballet began to embrace a multidisciplinary approach, incorporating modern dance, jazz, hip hop, and other global styles. Figures like Forsythe, Akram Khan, Crystal Pite have broadened ballet's expressive vocabulary, blending genres, integrating complex storytelling and abstracts too, and challenging ballet's established aesthetics conventions. Technological advancements have also transformed ballet in recent years. So the use of digital staging and motion captures and even artificial intelligence playing roles in both choreography and performance. These tools are redefining ballet's relationship to time and space, allowing choreographers to experiment with movement beyond the constraints of the physical body and beyond the abilities of the body, and using other things to complement. This era is marked by a democratization of ballet, both in terms of global accessibility and cultural inclusivity, and the range and the access that ballet has now compared to other times. Twyla Tharp is renowned for merging ballets with modern dance. Twyla Tharp is one of my favorites. Jazz and popular styles, expanding ballet's expressive possibilities. Her 1973 Do Scoop with the Joffrey Ballet, set to the music of Beach Boys, was groundbreaking in blending classical technique with casual everyday movements. The Twyla Tharp is the creative mind behind Dancing with Sneakers on stage. And I'm gonna show you a little in the upper room, which is one of my favorites from her. And Miami City Ballet dances this one very often, so you can catch it anytime. Her approach influenced a generation of choreographers, redefining ballet potential by integrating narrative, humor, and pop culture. Her later collaborations with companies like American Ballet Theater further solidified her role as a transformative force in contemporary ballet. I'm gonna show you this little. My other favorite from Twyla Tharp is the one with music by Frank Sinatra. I'm sure you've heard, you've seen it, and so, but that one is rarely. You can see it on YouTube, but it's very hard to see it with a company. They don't do it as often, but this one in the upper room, they do. And it's very minimalistic. It's just the joy of the movements, what you'll see in there. And as a choreographer, integrating new media and effects into my work, it's exciting and challenging. It requires balancing technological sophistication with the fundamental humanism the ballet conveys, working with young dancers and digital performances. Last year I did with my studio, we did Alice in Wonderland, and we filmed part of the running from the rabbit in the park, and it was challenging to convey and challenging to repeat the movement on stage while the audience was watching the screen while we were doing it on stage. It was very interesting. It came out really good, but it could have been very bad. So I'm happy it came out that way. But we have to give that relevance to the media. Ballet future, inclusivity and accessibility. As we look to ballet's future, we see a movement towards hybridity, inclusivity, and cultural adaptation, right? Contemporary ballet is increasingly incorporating diverse cultural perspectives and broadening narratives told through the medium and inviting voices that historically have been unrepresented. This adaptation reflects not only ballet's versatility, but its survival as an art and as a way of moving forward, and as a response of the complexion of the world nowadays. In many ways, ballet's future will be determined by its ability to remain relevant and accessible, which it's always been the problem with ballet, but thankfully it has bear with us. The digital performance surge brought on by the pandemic show ballet's capacity, right, to adapt. When we were, that year that I joined Broward College, we had to perform our semester concert like we always do on stage, but this time we had to do it virtually. So we would meet in the park where everybody would be distanced to others, and even the videographer, we would be talking to each other far away and trying to create under this new system and pressure. But it was definitely something new and something that we had to go on with, right? It was the only way we had, the only channel we had to show our work and connect with the community. That transformation, it's definitely a chapter in ballet history. Making the connection and the social media, it's making it globally accessible and increasingly inclusive art form. And the fact that we can watch things that we couldn't before unless you paid a $300 ticket. Now it's more accessible. And there are ways of finding and everybody's more aware of the community need, right? In preparing this talk, I reflected on the privilege of working in an art form that's both grounded in tradition and remarkably open to change, as we all are. And in this time, ballet has survived and thrived by evolving with each new era while maintaining its core, and a testament to its resilience and timeless appeal. I hope you live today with appreciation of ballet, not only as an aesthetic form, but a dynamic narrative that continues to unfold. And Thank you. But I wanted to also talk to you about our concerts. We show concerts every semester. I'm sure Sabrina talked to you about this last. I don't know how to get back to you and see your faces. Let me see if I can show meeting maybe. Yes. Now I can see your faces. We present our concert semester, end of the semester concert, and we put on a great show. So we have resident choreographers, we have faculty choreographers, and we have our best students choreography, which is surprisingly and creative and full of force and sometimes range and emotion. And I invite you all to come watch our show, which will be next weekend, November 22nd and 23rd. It's a free event, and I hope I can see some of your faces there. I'm also choreographing in combination with the Jazz Orchestra of Broward College, they're gonna be playing Duke Ellington's Jazz Nutcracker, and I'm choreographing. Well, I choreographed already. We're at the end of that, finishing touches. I choreographed a whole. It's a short ballet version of the Nutcracker. It's not a ballet, it's jazz basically. So it's very colorful, full of energy, great dancing, and live music. So you're all invited to that too. That's December 4th. It's a Wednesday at, I think it's 6:30 p.m. And all of this happens at Bailey Hall. I'm gonna take off my glasses because I can see you better. All of this happens at Bailey Hall, at our central campus in Broward College. So if you have any questions, maybe you can unmute, and if somebody has something to say about what I said or an experience, or if somebody saw any of these ballets that we talked about, where did you see it? And tell me a little bit about that.
Okay. Well, I have to jump in, Lucy, to tell you how wonderful your program was today and how much I learned about the background of ballet. I never gave Louis XIV credit for that. So that was very revealing. And I do want to tell you that, I tell all of you that we have a great partnership with the Visual and Performing Arts program at Bailey Hall. We have been honored to have our annual Stirling Circle events at Bailey Hall. We will be doing another event on the 26th of January for the opening of the Rosemary Duffy Lawson series in conjunction with Bailey Hall. You'll be hearing more about that in the future. And hopefully we'll be able to continue some of these dance programs. Also, the ones on November 22nd and 23rd for the annual program is going to be fantastic for all of us dance lovers out there. Please try to attend. And Lucy, I want to thank you, Daniela, Sabrina, and the entire staff for putting these programs together for us. We're very honored and thrilled to have you join us on our Zoom programs.
Thank you.
Yes. Are there any other comments or questions we have for Lucy? No, I don't see any more. So what I'd like to do now is just give you a heads up for other programs that are happening in the next couple of weeks. I'm very excited to let you know that the third program of Pull Up a Chair, that's conversation with like-minded people of our generation, that I host on, that I will be hosting on Tuesday, the 19th from 2 to 3. You're invited to join us for conversation, laughs, and shared experiences as we pull up a chair to come together as from our generation. And then on the 21st, we have Shelley Isaacs will be talking about Kitchen Brigade, the Kitchen Brigade, on his presentation on Cafe Cinematheque.
No,
So-
there's a change. There's a change in that movie.
Okay, what is it, Marilyn?
It's called The Kid on Le Fils de Jean in French, translated in English as The Kid. I don't know who did that translation, but you'll find it on Canopy as The Kid. It takes place in Paris and in Montreal, and it's a good movie. So watch it if you can.
Yes, so that's, thank you, Marilyn. And then we're having our book fair. Our book fair indoors is coming back on Sunday, the 24th, from 1 to 4. So we hope to see you there. The books are fantastic. You get a bag of books if you're a member of the library, member of the Friends, a bag of books for $3. It's a giveaway, and we hope to see you there. Once again, Lucy, our thanks to you and to everyone there at Broward for what you have provided for us tonight and so many other nights.
Thank you so much. And I really hope to see you there for our performances.
Absolutely, absolutely. So with that, I am going to close this program and with a thank you. Happy Thanksgiving to all. Be well, be safe, and see you